Good evening, Drew.
Hey, there he is.
There I am.
Yeah.
Where was I? I don't know. I'm right here.
Well,
How you doing?
we were gone last week for
We
a
were
number of
gone.
reasons.
Logistics and
It happens.
Stuff.
Yeah.
Oh.
And this is just a periodic reminder that the podcast isn't really for you. It's for me and Paul.
Exactly.
So we'll do this when we want.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Did you have a good week?
Yeah. Yeah, it was good. How about you?
I'm in that weird sort of hurry up and get everything done before next week, which is going to be Turkey Tatoes Day.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
Because everybody's going to turn into a pumpkin next week. So all the things that I'm on the hook for delivering to people, like I'm trying to get done over the last 3 or 4 days, and I'm pretty much done. I got a couple more things I got to do. What about you guys?
Let's see. I'm taking next week off. All of it. All of it off.
Nice.
Yeah. It's gonna be good. My daughter gets her braces off on Tuesday.
Ooh.
So that's a whole big thing. Yeah.
I didn't realize Arabelle even had braces.
Yeah. She's got her daddy's mouth. I'm missing some adult teeth. And she is also missing some adult teeth. So yeah.
Okay. That's a show title.
They're moving stuff around so it doesn't look so ridiculous, basically. Mm-hmm. And that's done. So yeah.
Now, how long did she have them for?
A couple years, I think.
I mean, I think I've met your daughter once, and it was a very long time ago. And I don't seem to recall braces. So
she is, yeah. No, she's
probably pretty pumped, though.
Yes.
Now, did you have braces?
Oh, yeah. Because again, missing teeth, so they had to move stuff around to make room for. I got bridges. They don't do that really anymore. They either just say "fuck it" and make all the teeth, squish all the teeth you have together, which is what they did for Arabelle and Zachary. He's missing a tooth too. Or sometimes, depending what it is, they'll like leave room for like implants to go down that route. But yeah,
I knock on wood, I never had to have braces. I think my brother did for a little while, but it was like that whole period of my life is just really fuzzy. Like my high school years are just kind of a blur. Yeah, I think Mandy had braces.
They do braces a lot younger now.
Like, what do you mean?
So, like, for me, like, when I was a kid, braces was very much like a high school thing.
I seem to remember middle school.
Okay. Now they will sometimes they will even do like braces when you still have baby teeth, trying to get things in place earlier and then take them off and then put them back in around middle school. So yeah.
Huh.
So sometimes you get double braces.
Double braces. Man, everything in the pursuit of a good mouth.
Yeah. I mean, I told the kids that, like, because it's my family's genes, that the reason their mouth is all screwed up. I'm like, okay,
thanks, Dad.
Mm-hmm. So I'm like, I'll pay. I mean, whatever you need to do, and I'll pay for it. Yep. Make sure it gets done.
All right, we got some talking to do.
We got content.
We got content. Before we get going, I just want to say that it is the new Call of Duty launch time, and we're in that weird 2 to 4 week period right now where stuff just broke or doesn't work right, because game development's hard, and the same bugs that have existed in every Call of Duty launch for the past 5 years still exist every new Call of Duty launch. I was playing a couple rounds before we hopped on tonight, and I have this weird bug right now where, in Call of Duty, you can customize the guns that you use and like your loadout and your abilities and stuff. And I had a weird bug that, it didn't matter what I picked. The game just gave me the gun that I didn't have. And I was like, this is fun. I've never used this gun and it's awful. So I was like, I'm going to quit for now.
Yeah. No, I have heard, I don't follow the Call of Duty shooting man games. It's not my cup of tea. But did I catch that, like, the single player, like the campaign, is getting just absolutely blasted in the reviews?
Yeah. So here's what happened. And this is interesting, right? Call of Duty is, to me, and I don't say this isn't a positive thing. It's like bigger than a franchise at this point. It is an entire, it's almost its own genre at this point.
Yeah.
And what they've done is they've added different types of games to the Call of Duty lineup. Like there's canonical Call of Duty, which is shooty mans. Then they added, kind of their battle royale mode to the game, and all the different variations that exist within that. Then they added an extraction shooter, which is like sort of like a battle royale, except that your gear is not persistent. So like if you die, you sort of lose everything and you have to start over with like nothing. You sort of build yourself up, and if you escape, you keep what you escape with. That's that whole genre game. And of course, there's always been a single player campaign of Call of Duty, which you, of course, as the name implies, you play by yourself. It tells a story. There's recurring characters that are sort of iconic to the franchise, et cetera, et cetera. So what they decided to do, and I've always thought that this was going to be a good thing, and plot twist, I don't think it's a good thing anymore, is continuity. So like, for example, every year when I play Call of Duty, one of the things that I really like to do is I like to do the challenges, because the challenges in the game, which is like, get so many kills with this gun and get so many kills while you're lying down and stab people this many times or whatever. There's a million different challenges, but you do those and it unlocks different camouflages for your gun. And in Call of Duty circles, your camo that you have on your gun says a lot about you. So if you're the kind of person that has what we call completionist camos, like gold, platinum, there's other like tiers that are higher than that. Like anybody who's watching you play or anybody that you kill and watches the kill camera sees your camo is like, wow, Drew's got a really nice camo. He must be really good at this game. So it's like a prestige thing. It's like a, look at me type thing. So I like doing those challenges. The problem is that they are kind of time consuming, kind of grindy, and you get them done, and then the whole new Call of Duty rolls around, and you don't got those anymore.
You get to do them all over again.
You get to do them all over again. But what they've decided to do this year is they've decided to basically extend last year's game. What do I mean by that? Well, now when I go into new Call of Duty, all the guns from last year are in this game. All of the camos from last year are in this game. And if you previously have them unlocked, you can just use them. So like, for example, I finished every single camouflage challenge for guns last year. So every gun that from last year, I could put those high-end camos on if I want to. Now, of course, I'm not doing that right now because there's new guns, and I want to try these new guns to figure out which ones are good and which ones are not so good. And they have their own camouflage challenges. But I can apply some of the camouflages from last year to the new guns. So what they've done is they've effectively extended the game, right? They've added in new maps. They've kept some operators, i.e., like your avatar, if you will. They've kept the camouflages. They kept other progression type stuff like emblems and badges and title cards and all this other shit. But as a side effect of that, what they did with the single player campaign this year is they basically have extended the game from last year. So what it really kind of feels like is that this is like a $70 DLC and not a standalone game.
God, okay.
And like, first of all, the plot of Call of Duty at this point, like I couldn't fucking tell you what's going on. I have no idea. I played the campaign to do it because there were certain things that if you did it, you got like stuff you could use in multiplayer. So I did it. I didn't understand the plot at all. It made absolutely no sense. I could see how people wouldn't like it. But like I talked about last time we talked about Call of Duty, I kind of liked what they tried to do with the campaign. It was very short. It kind of gave you some choices about how to do certain objectives and things. But at the end of the day, I could see why people didn't like it. I mean, I really treat those single player campaigns very disposably. And also, the thing that works against this is there have been some really good Call of Duty campaigns. Like the original Modern Warfare campaign is still a pretty big banger, right? Like the missions that you did, like that, if you were to Google famous Call of Duty missions, you're going to see No Russian, you're going to see All Gillied Up, you're going to see Mile High Club, you're going to see all these cool missions that, they've been trying to like sort of chase that high and they just haven't been able to do it. So yeah, it's getting pretty panned. Multiplayer is kind of a mixed bag right now. what they did with the zombies play mode this year is kind of fun. I'm enjoying it. They just need to get some of these bugs ironed out.
Got it. Okay.
Yeah, so that's where you can see me. But now that topic's done, you have some big announcements.
I mean, I bought some stuff, Drew. I bought some stuff.
All right. So why don't you explain what happened, and then we can talk about what I did.
Okay. So, as my listeners know, I have recently gotten into vinyl records, that whole lifestyle, and I've been slowly. I've had a project of slowly upgrading my audio equipment to just some better stuff. I wanted to get a new amplifier. Wanted to get a new turntable. I bought the amplifier a while ago. That was my, MAAS D3. I don't know whatever it's called. It's a horrible name by Project Audio, but it's a great little integrated amplifier. But the big thing I was hunting for was I wanted a new turntable. The turntable I had before was like an Audio Technica. What's it called? ATLP 120 XBT USB. Perfectly fine turntable, and absolutely nothing wrong with it. I just wanted something. Honestly, Drew, I wanted something that looked nicer. I wanted something that you looked at it and you went, "Oh, isn't that nice?" I just wanted something that was prettier, something a little bit more high end. I really wasn't trying to get better sound out of it. I just wanted something nicer.
Now, to be fair, though, turntables take up space, and people are going to notice them. So yes, they should look nice.
Yes. So I had a lot of things I was possibly looking at, but there'll be a link in the show notes. I ended up with the Project Audio X2 turntable. It is aesthetically very minimalistic and clean, but she thick. It's a very, very heavy bass. It's got a very big acrylic platter that sits on top of it, and that's what you put the records on. It's got a straight tone arm instead of a bent tone arm. This thing is absolutely, to me, it's beautiful. It's beautiful. I find myself in my office just looking at it, even when it's not playing a record. I just look at it. I look at it, and I enjoy the way it looks.
I have questions.
Okay.
Sorry, and I know this is just the tip of the iceberg. So this thing does look very nice. So a couple things immediately jump out at me, and if you're curious what this thing looks like, you'll find it in the show notes. But
yes,
so the actual part that the record goes on,
the platter,
the platter. What is that made out of?
That is acrylic.
Okay, so it looks like frosted glass almost.
It does. It is a very beautiful kind of. It looks like frosted glass, but it is like over an inch thick, and it's just this big, heavy ass piece of acrylic.
Now, what color did you get?
I got the white.
Okay, you got the white. How are you keeping dust off of this?
So I do have to keep dust off of it. Drew, it comes with a pair of white cotton gloves.
Oh, of course it does.
That you can use to kind of like clean the high gloss finish and stuff. Yeah.
Wow. So, high gloss black, which I can't even, that'd be a nightmare of fingerprints.
Yeah.
Satin black or satin white. Real wood. Can we talk about real wood?
So it's at the end of the day, the base is still MDF. They just put like a wood, like it is real wood, but they just put like a wood paneling over top of that. And it looks fine. It looks fine. It's not my aesthetic. It's not my aesthetic.
Okay.
But yeah, I went with the white. I thought the white looked the white fit me the best, I think.
I think I would agree with that.
Yes.
Now, Aesthetically, obviously, this looks very nice. Performance-wise, though, is it an upgrade from what you had?
I mean, on paper, yes. In reality, I don't notice a difference.
Where would the difference kick in?
So one of the things that you get, so obviously, end of the day, the music is made because a needle is in a groove and the needle is vibrating, it's moving, and then it's turning that into music. Okay.
Right.
So one of the things high-end turntables try to do is try to prevent extra vibrations, whether it's coming from the turntable or itself or externally, from reaching the tone arm. That is why high-end turntables are generally thicker and heavier, just trying to have extra mass. So like if you're walking around, the turntable doesn't vibrate. Also, the motor, if you find, there's pretty good YouTube. And actually, if you look, if you scroll, if you're on that page and you scroll the part that says new motor suspension.
Right.
Okay, so you on the left, so basically it's showing two things. On the right, that is the part that spins that the platter sits on. And then to the left of that is the motor. What you really can't tell is the motor is kind of like built on like these shocks. So it's kind of independent from the rest of the turntable because turning things cause vibration.
Sure.
So they try to isolate the motor, so as the motor spins, it doesn't needlessly cause anything, those vibrations to go up into the platter and then to the tone arm. And the tone arm it's a nicer tone arm. Longer tone arms are generally considered to be better. This one's 9 inches. Bigger is always better, I guess.
So they keep telling me.
Yeah, and it comes with a very nice cartridge. Like the cartridge by itself is like $300. So it's a very high end cartridge that comes with it.
Are you happy?
I'm very happy. Like I said, I don't notice a difference in sound, but I do notice a difference in the way it looks, and it makes me smile. I just looking at it, it looks so good. I love it so much. It is beautiful. It is a beautiful thing that I own. Yes.
No, I get it. I totally get that, man. Aesthetic is important. Now,
it is.
From what you have told me, your previous turntable had some features that higher end turntables like this one doesn't. So did you have to buy anything else to sort of make this work?
No,
because you already had a lot of like amps and stuff, right?
My amplifier has a so the table replaces has a built-in phono amp. This one does not, but I have a phono amp in my amplifier anyway, so that's fine. It doesn't have Bluetooth or USB, which my other one did, but I didn't use that anyway. So yeah, it's just a turntable. You just turn it on, it spins. You pick 33 or 45 RPM, and it turns around, and music comes out. Like it's just it doesn't do anything else.
Well, I mean, buddy, it looks great, and
Yeah,
I would love to see it. The actual platter actually looks really nice. Now, is it heavy?
Yeah.
It looks heavy.
It's heavy.
It looks heavy. Yeah, it looks solid.
It's very heavy.
And that's good because it's not going to move around.
Yes.
Now, you bought other stuff here.
I did.
So explain this next one to me.
Okay, so I wanted to buy a better piece of furniture to put my turntable and music and my other stuff on. I had this piece of furniture from Amazon. It was just like cheap MDF. It was fine. But I wanted something just a little bit nicer, a little bigger. And one of the popular, I put an Amazon link, but you can buy these from anywhere. One of the more popular set of turntable stands, or just audio equipment in general, is this company called Pangea. They have a couple of different models. I ended up with the Vulcan TT. So it can hold a turntable. It's got a shelf for audio components. It's got a bigger shelf for records. One thing I really like about it is you can buy other accessories. So I actually ended up buying another shelf to make it a little bit taller. You can buy drawers, all kinds of stuff to go with these things. But I just bought the extra shelf. It is it's very sturdy as far like it is like assemble it yourself, comes in a box,
Flat pack.
Yeah, flat pack. But everything in it is just like, if you put together a IKEA bookshelf, you know what that quality is. Just imagine like nice IKEA, like nicer IKEA. Everything's just a little bit heavier, a little bit more sturdy. And one of the things that you'll see in high-end audio equipment is the feet will usually end in very, very kind of almost like sharp ends. And the idea of that is to reduce the amount of vibration that comes through the floor up into the stand.
Yeah.
What I had was fine. I just wanted something a little bit bigger, something I'd add a little bit more shelves to. And I figured, you know what, if I'm already tearing everything down to, put a new turntable in there, I might as well get a piece of furniture, and I might as well get one that's going to last me, for a long period of time. So I went with the Pangea Audio Vulcan TT, and I got that in black.
Got it in black.
Yes, black.
Not carbon.
I didn't like they have they call it carbon fiber, but really what it is the black with some like swoopy lines on the front.
Yeah.
And I didn't care. Yeah. And while I think I found the espresso and was it, rose nut red colors to be very pretty.
Rose nut.
They did not match my aesthetic that I have in my office.
No, that would not look good with the white. Okay.
So, yeah, I just went with the black.
I want to talk about this next thing on your list.
Mm-hmm.
What's going on here?
Okay, so the last thing the last piece I really wanted, the speakers I should put a link in there. I have some ELAC Debut 2.0 bookshelf speakers. They're nice. They're front ported. Which, if you think of what a port is, it's the hole where the extra air comes out of. When it's moving. They're front ported, which is nice because I have them on my desk. My desk is close up to the wall, so that way usually most speakers are back ported. The port is on the back, so you have to have them away from the wall a bit to get the best sound out of them. These ones are front ported, so I don't have to worry about that. And they're perfect. They're great. They're great speakers. I have no complaints about my speakers. They are wonderful. But I wanted just a little bit more low end out of them, right? Just a little bit more bass. Not a lot of bass. Just a little bit more. So I also purchased a subwoofer.
Okay.
I didn't want anything massive. I didn't want earth-shaking bass. I am not a bass head. I just wanted a little bit more of the low end. If anything, that's where these speakers are lacking, because the drivers are only so big, right? So, I ended up with, I gotta go back to the show notes here. This is the what is it? Kanto Audio Sub 8. It is not a huge subwoofer as far as subwoofers go. It's got an 8-inch woofer. It is sealed, so it does not have any ports at all. And generally, if you want a lot of bass, you want a ported subwoofer, because you want everything to vibrate as much as possible to get those wubs and dubs.
Right.
A ported subwoofer is generally quieter but more crisp, more precise. Which is perfect. It just adds it's not overpowering. It's not like, ooh, that person has a subwoofer. It's just a little bit more low end, and I think it kind of just rounds out the sound. And it looks nice and it sounds good. So I'm very happy with all of my purchases.
So it only comes in white as well.
It's white or black. I got the white. Yeah,
that makes sense.
Mm-hmm.
Looks good with the aesthetic.
Yeah, plus like my desk is white and it's kind of under my desk, so it works. It works.
Nice.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Before we talk about the things that I did, it's time for my favorite game, and that is let's look at Paul's record collection. So it's been a hot minute since we looked at it, and you're up to 4 pages of records now on Discogs.
Am I really?
Yep.
Okay.
And there'll be a link in the show notes. You can follow along with Paul's record collection.
Okay. I haven't gotten too many new ones since last time, I don't think.
Well, I see another Callous Dowboys that wasn't on here before.
That is an EP. So I have a couple records that do this, and it's just absolutely bizarre. This EP only has 3 songs on it. It's God Smiles on the Callous Dowboys. It's only printed on one side. The other side of the vinyl is perfectly flat.
I don't think I've ever seen a record like that.
Yeah.
Interesting. Code Orange Kids.
Mm-hmm. Well, so technically it's actually Code Orange. They were the Code Orange Kids, but they changed their name when they stopped being kids.
Apologies.
But the Discogs has it as the old. Yep.
So tell me about this band. I don't think I've ever heard of this band.
They're a hardcore band. So hardcore is like more punkish. But I mean metal plus punk. You can kind of think about it that way. I don't. The Code Orange. They're good. I like them. They're.
Well, I don't think you would buy a record of somebody you didn't like.
That is true. That is true. One thing about Code Orange is they're constantly they're young individuals. They put in the work. They do the hustle. Like they do their own merch. They're always out there touring and doing stuff, trying to just keep going. They're always kind of pushing the edges of what like extreme music can be.
Hold on, I'm firing up Spotify real quick because I have to. Okay, so I'm looking at the track list for the above. Give me a track off of here that I should listen to.
Track 4, Take Shape.
Take Shape, featuring Billy Corgan.
Featuring Billy Corgan. Yes.
Take Shape. Code Orange Kids, featuring Billy Corgan. Okay, I'm digging this. I kind of like this. Okay, I could get into that.
Yeah,
I'm gonna cue that up to listen to tomorrow at work.
Okay.
I don't know, the lyrics were kind of hitting for me, and I could see how it's kind of heavy, but that was actually kind of nice. Okay, Mayhem we've talked about, Meshuggah we've talked about, Thou we've talked about, Bloodbath seems like a new one on this list for me.
That is just a classic death metal album.
So it's been around a while.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's when did that come out? Let's see. Does it tell me? Bloodbath. Okay. Well, it came out in 20. Well, was that the original printing or the reprint? I don't know. It's no. I guess it was 2022, so it's not that old, but still, it's a modern day classic. How about that?
Modern day classic. Okay,
it's good. If you're looking for a track off of there, I recommend Eaten. It's my favorite track. It's about exactly what you think. Well, maybe not. It is about an individual who wants to be eaten. So yeah.
Oh, so for all the Vor listeners out there.
Yeah, the whole song is about his desire to be eaten by somebody else. So
so this track immediately starts off with what I dislike about the genre, where it's just someone sort of grunting some lyrics at me. So no, I'm gonna be hard out on that one.
That is definitely that is death metal. There, just straight ahead, no nonsense death metal.
Okay, just a couple more here. Nile.
Again, more death metal there.
Okay, won't bother pulling that one up.
That's a good. If you're looking for a track on there, I recommend the title track, Vile Nilotic Rites. Yes,
Vile Nilotic Rites. Okay, so I got to spell that. Vile Nilotic Rites. There it is. Song. Okay, starting out strong. heavy guitar, some drums. Sounds a lot like Black Sabbath. Okay, not really going anywhere now. Oh, I hear some low glottal things happening in the background. Ah, there it is. Okay, yeah, I'm out. Okay,
there you go. There you go.
I made it 24 seconds.
Yeah, that's typically how it goes. Okay. Like, I liked it until he started singing.
Yeah,
like,
no, the guitar and the drums were really hitting.
Yeah,
and that dude had to open his mouth. I think actually, I see some purple links on here. It looks like we've clicked on a lot of these things already. Okay, cool. Yeah, okay. What's next on your list then? Just whatever kind of fancy strikes you.
Yeah, I mean, I've got a couple more Asagram records coming. What else do I have? I don't know. I think I don't. Yeah, I'm just kind of just waiting to see. I get these furious spurts where like I'm gonna buy more records, and then I go out and I do,
bro. I get it.
So yeah, and so far I've been pretty. I've realized I have a lot of records I have never even listened to yet, so I'm trying to work through my back catalog. But
okay. Very cool, my friend. Okay, now the sort of part B of all your new toys is you have graciously given me your old turntable.
I did, yes.
Would you like to know what I've done?
My guess, absolutely nothing.
Absolutely nothing. It's sitting in the box still because I don't have the components necessary or a place to really put it yet. But while we're here and while I have you, if I want, so what would I need for like moderate enjoyment? Because like you said, this has a phono amp built in, so I don't need to buy an amp, but I'll need to get some speakers.
Yeah, so you have two routes to go. Either you can buy yourself a pair of powered speakers.
Okay.
So the amplifier is kind of built in, or get yourself an amplifier and passive speakers. Honestly, like if you're looking to get into, if you don't want anything that's too obtrusive and you're not looking to go all out, I would just buy some powered speakers. If you're looking to, let's see, hold on. There's a brand. Powered speakers. There's a brand on Edifier. You can buy them on Amazon.
Edifier. Give me a link.
I'll put a link to their store.
Edifier store.
Just some powered speakers. Just make sure that the switch on the back of the on the turntable is set to phono, I believe. You'll know right away if it's not on the right one. It will sound really bad.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So some powered speakers and then do I need to, you mentioned things like cartridges and all this other stuff. Like,
okay. So what you're going to want to do. So I put everything that went in there with that. I have like 2 different head shells in there, 3. Just grab the one that has the orange on it and put that sucker on. The hardest part of setting up a turntable is balancing the tone arm and setting tracking force. Okay. So what you're gonna do is you're gonna take that tone arm. You're gonna take the head shell, which is the part that has the cartridge and the stylus, and you're gonna put it on there, and you're gonna screw it on, and you're gonna take off the little plastic cap that's protecting it. And then you're gonna then in the box there's also a counterweight, and the counterweight goes on the back of the tone arm.
Oh boy.
Okay.
Physics is happening. All right. Yep.
So then what you have to do is you kind of have to move the tone arm kind of in between the, where it gets held in place and the platter, and you have to adjust the tone arm and adjust the balance until the tone arm is level. So it kind of balances all by itself. Okay. At that point, you put the tone arm back on this thing, and the counterweight will have basically a bunch of numbers. So at that point, you need to kind of hold the counterweight and reset. There's a dial that kind of spins independently, and spin that till it's on 0. Okay. So you've essentially zeroed the tone arm. Okay. It's not putting any weight down at all. It's balanced. But that's not what you want. You want the tone arm to push down into the record a little bit. Okay. Otherwise, the stylus is just going to skip. So that the weight that you need is all dependent on the cartridge. All the cartridges I have in that box use 2 grams of force.
2 grams of force.
So you turn the tone arm until it's on a 2. Okay. And then the right of the tone arm, there's this other little dial. That's the anti-skate adjustment. That keeps, obviously the record is spinning. It's introducing force. The tone arm kind of wants to push out because physics. The anti-skate, exactly what it does. It keeps the stylus from skating. You also set that to 2. And then you're done. Then you put a record on and you enjoy it.
Huh.
That could be a pain in the ass. And I will gladly come over and help you do that if you would like.
I may end up taking you up on that.
Yep. Also, like turntable also has USB out, so you're going to plug it into a computer or another amplifier or something that takes USB in. It also has Bluetooth, and it's also built for DJs, so the motor can go backwards, and it's got like pitch and speed adjustments. So if you want to, learn how to scratch them records, there you go.
I gotta say, it's interesting to me that something like that has Bluetooth, because I feel like if you're an audiophile and you really want to get into records, the last thing you want to do is distort that signal quality through Bluetooth. Of all the features to cram into something like that, that doesn't compute.
Yeah, like I tried it once, like I hooked it up and I was like, oh, yep, that totally works.
But that's not why I'm here.
That's not why I'm here. Yeah, exactly.
Okay.
You want that analog, like that. That's like
that warm sound, right? Like, I get it.
Yeah, you want it to be analog all the way through,
right?
And yeah,
I get it. Yeah, it's on my list to get to. There's a couple things I need to do. I think it's going to go in my basement. I think I really haven't put anything in my basement. Like I don't have a TV down here. I don't really have anything. So I need to get like some shelves or build in some shelves to this like one section of my basement. And I could see myself putting like an amp, a turntable,
there you go.
Maybe some speakers. There are some speakers built into my ceiling down here. And like I know where the wires are.
Okay.
They're probably not great. I don't know. But I could like plug those in and see how it goes. I don't know.
Yeah.
But it's on my list. I will get to it probably over the holidays. I'll start figuring that out. Okay. So part of the reason we didn't record last week is that you had some obligations, and then Saturday night we got together with 3 other friends of ours, and we started to play Ticket to Ride Legends of the West, which is Ticket to Ride Legacy.
Yes, we did,
and I had an amazing time.
It was so good.
It was really good. We played 4 games of the 12-game campaign.
We did.
So for those of you that don't play a lot of board games, let me just kind of set the stage for you before we start gushing here. So most board games, right? And from Monopoly to Catan to whatever board game you like to play, every time you open that box and you set up that game, sure, the game's going to play out different. Someone's going to win, someone's going to lose, but you're playing the same rules on the same board with the same stuff over and over again. Legacy games, which are now probably 6-7 years old, maybe. I think Risk Legacy was technically the first, and that was a little bit before Pandemic Legacy. The idea of that game is you play a game. And through the course of playing the game, the next time you play, something about the game is going to be different. Typically, that's done by like putting a sticker on the board or adding in new rules or taking away rules, adding in new components, changing the way players do things. That's what a legacy game is. Now, Ticket to Ride is, I'm going to call it a pretty stable, very easy to teach, very easy to get people into game. And the fact that they made a legacy game of this is really interesting. And you know what? It totally works.
Yeah, it does. Like, I mean, at the end of the day, there's not a whole lot to Ticket to Ride. It's a simple game, lightweight, as they say in the biz. easy to teach, but it's still got some good strategy in it. It's got good player interaction because you're competing, with each other. And like some of the other like Ticket to Ride Europe and all that stuff added some new mechanics. But I was kind of curious to see like what could they do to Ticket to Ride to kind of spruce it up to make it more interesting, because you need like a hook in a legacy game that keeps. I mean, there's always the surprise of like what's in the next box, what's the next thing, but you need like a good gameplay loop because you're gonna be playing that game over and over again, and they did a really good job.
They did it. They did an exceptional job. I loved it. I mean, everybody that came over already knew how to play Ticket to Ride. There were a couple little rule changes. I mean, the number one thing is that every time you play a game, and like I said, you can play this game 12 times. After 12 times, the game's kind of done. But every time you play, somebody wins a game. Like the first game we played, I forget who won.
I won.
That's right. You called your shot too, which was hilarious. You said, "I'm going to win," and then you won. But what's interesting is that then you play again and someone wins that game. And what we're doing is after each game, we're sort of recording our scores and we're sort of tucking them away. I certainly don't remember what my point totals were for those 4 games. And I think we're going to like get to the end and we're going to open up that little box where we've been putting the score sheets and be kind of alarmed about, because I mean, I feel like right now, friend of the show, Robert, friend of the show, John, it's probably one of them that's in the lead, but I don't think the rest of us are far behind.
No. Okay, so some light spoilers for the game. Some light spoilers here.
Hey, nerds, there's going to be spoilers.
Like, I'm not going to talk. I mean, we could go on, but I won't talk about anything, at least for now, that you don't experience in the first game. Okay? Mm-hmm. But what I want to talk about is, so you pick a company, and that determines what color trains you're playing with. Each company has a little box. And the box is divided into 2 pieces. What, the office and the vault?
Yes.
Okay. So the office has like a normal lid in it, and if you have like cards in between that you want to keep in between games, you put your little cards in there, and then you can pull them back out the next time. It's a box. The back is the vault, and it just has a slot. And you're putting your scores in the game. Certain cards will tell you to, hey, put this card in your vault. And you can't see them. They're gone.
Right, they're gone now.
Yeah, I mean, you're supposed to open the vault at the end of the game. But, like, you have to kind of remember what's in there. I thought that was just cool. It's like, hey, this is a place where your stuff goes.
Yep.
Just that little box was just such a wonderful idea.
Very wonderful idea. And, they definitely added some new mechanics to Ticket to Ride, like employees, the fact that you sort of have money in Ticket to Ride, and that money can come in. For the majority of our games, money only came in, but now money can also go out, which is essentially your points that you can like have to pay other players and all this other stuff. So I think there's some really cool little rule changes that have come into the game.
Okay. All right. So hold on. Spoiler horn here.
Okay.
Dude, the very first box you open, and it's got the fucking hole punch in it.
Oh, right. Okay, so here's the thing, right? The very first, so we play the first game, and like the first game is you have a board, and the board looks like giant puzzle pieces. So it's very clear to you that you will be adding to the board as you play.
Yeah.
And like it's basically the Eastern United States and a little bit of the Midwest, just like it kind of was back in the days, early railroads, 1800s. Like it sort of started on the East Coast. Then, eventually like, Westward Ho and the Golden Spike and the Transcontinental Railroad. I'm sure we're going to get there. But what was interesting was there's part of the core mechanics of Ticket to Ride, if you've never played it, is at the beginning of the game, you sort of deal out what are called ticket cards to players. And these are like secret objectives that only the player knows about. And what it'll have on there is it'll have 2 cities. And the conceit is this. If you can create a route, meaning you can place your little train cars from that city to the target city, it doesn't matter how you get there, but if you can trace a line of your trains from point A to point B, you get the number of points on that card. If you don't, you will lose the number of points on that card. Like that is it. So there's like a little bit of a calculated risk at the beginning to say, how many of these am I going to take on? How many will I think I'll be able to get done in order to maximize my score? But one thing we sort of noticed about the tickets is that these tickets, unlike tickets in regular Ticket to Ride, is on the side of the ticket, there's like, it almost looks like perforation, but it's not. It's like a graphic that's sort of stitched onto the card. And like all of the different player colors, they almost look like little terrible ticket stubs. So we get through the first game, and with a legacy game, before you start a round, at the end of the round, the game will basically tell you to do something. So it said, hey, open this box. And I thought, maybe there's going to be more cards in here. Maybe there's going to be new tokens. Maybe there's going to be new stickers or whatever. Literally, we open it up, and what is it? It's a fucking hole punch. This board game came with a hole punch, and what you have to do is when you complete routes, guess what you do? You take your hole punch, and you actually punch a hole in the card. Yes. And if you complete the ticket, meaning like there's only one symbol to punch, the card is out of the game forever. But there's also ones that take two. So like now we have like in the game box right now, we have a stack of tickets that we will use next game where some have holes in them and some don't.
Exactly.
Fucking
some
wild.
Do, some don't.
Like an actual usable thing came in that box.
Yes.
It is a critical component to the game that is a functional hole punch.
Yes.
Like what? Like
I never
saw it coming.
Expected a hole
never
punch.
saw it coming.
No.
That was wild.
No. Yeah. What they call it, the conductor's
chest or something.
Yeah.
It was I just did not see that coming. The look on everybody's face too was pretty priceless. Like, it all caught us off guard. Where we left off is we added a couple different sections to the map. Each new section added something new. And again, sort of light spoilers, apparently now there are ghosts.
Yep.
Yeah. So yes. I'm very curious. We're going to get back together, not this week, but the week after to continue playing. But we're enjoying the hell out of it. So I don't know. To me, it's a no-brainer. Like if you have a group of friends that like to play board games, Ticket to Ride, each game takes 30, 40 minutes tops. We kind of got a late start. We started like probably closer to 9 and we played till a little after midnight. We got through 4 games. I mean, I would like to get through another 4 this next time, and then another 4 when we get to the final play session. But man, it's good. It's really good.
It's really good.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm trying to think what else. Like, the fact that like there are cities that you can claim as your own now, and
we're putting stickers on the board.
And we're making fun of each other for crooked stickers. And
there's the routes that become the first color. Like they don't have a color. Yeah.
Very, very good. I'm genuinely excited to see where it goes. I think if I win the next game, I'm going to add Florida just to get it out of the way.
Yeah, we haven't added Florida yet, and it kind of feels like we should.
Yeah, but I don't know how I feel about Florida. I could kind of do without Florida. So good game.
Very good. Very good.
All right, last topic of the night. I don't know if we've ever talked about this before, but Paul, I like to shoot guns.
You do, yes.
And I used to shoot a lot of guns.
You used to compete, right?
Kind of.
Okay.
Kind of. I'm trying to give me 1 second here. I should have had this up before I pulled up this website. So way back in the day, and I'm talking like 4 jobs ago, I sort of got into guns because some of the people I worked with were sort of into it, and I would go shooting with them, and I liked it. And, I bought a couple handguns, bought a couple rifles. But one of the things that I really wanted to try to get into was long distance shooting. And, I saved up my money. And this was several jobs ago. I didn't have near the disposable income that I have now. I saved up my money and I bought a really nice gun. And I bought this one. It is a Finnish company called Sako. They make really, really nice precision rifles. The exact gun that I own, it looks exactly like that gun, except it is green. It is like a flat dark earth type color, or like an OD green, I believe they call it. And it's a very nice precision rifle. It's a good caliber. Has a lot of nice features. It's a bedded stock, free floated barrel. Like it's It's really, really nice. And like you said, yes, I did shoot a couple competitive shooting events, some that were not precision matches and some that were. I never did particularly well because no one ever taught me how to shoot. So I had to kind of like watch a lot of videos, read a lot of material. Like I bought books on rifle ballistics to kind of understand how it works, because to me, that has always been the really fascinating part. Like, if you think about it, you're not really shooting bullets, you're sort of lobbing bullets a long range, because, gravity and rotational forces and environmental factors play a large part in whether or not you hit what you're aiming at. And truth be told, I didn't have a lot of places to practice. The closest place that you're going to take a rifle like this is going to be to an outdoor range of 100 yards or more. And there's really only one within driving distance of me, up at Delaware State Park, which is probably 30, 35 minutes away from me. They have an outdoor range. It's open to the public, but you need to, just like getting a fishing license, like you have to go to like a state game office, like in any bait store is going to have it, but you have to buy a range pass, and then you could show up. You show it to the range officer, they let you on the range. But it's kind of a clusterfuck because you have to bring your own targets. You have to like put the stand out there, and like, you'll get there and you sort of have to wait for people to get done shooting, because like, you don't want to be where the bullets are.
Yeah. That's really important.
Yeah,
Make sure the people are, you're not hanging your targets. When
well,
shooting.
people are actively shooting, right? So like everybody kind of calls ceasefire. You go put your targets out, and then like you set everything up, and then you go back, you sit down, you start shooting, and then someone else will show up, and like they're kind of waiting around to call ceasefire. So like it really interrupts your flow, and it's kind of a shitty thing. But like a crucial step of long range shooting is zeroing your rifle, meaning after you mount your optic or your scope to the weapon, you sort of have to like, figure out like, okay, if I put the center crosshairs on a target, like that's where the bullet's going to go. And you sort of correlate that to a range, either 100 or 200 yards. So like, you go out to this range, and it might take you, some ammo, which is not cheap, to sit there and figure out like, okay, I have this dialed in, it's completely dialed in, I'm ready to go. But then once you start shooting at longer distances, like things get really wild. So what you sort of have to do is you basically have to keep what is called a DOPE card, DOPE, and that stands for data on personal equipment. And that is a term that basically says like, you have a little notebook or some index cards that you keep with you that's like, okay, if I'm shooting at 300 yards and I have this type of bullet, I know the muzzle velocity of my gun, and I will expect my bullet to drop this many inches based on the distance that I'm shooting. So at 200 yards, it drops this much. 400 yards, it drops this much. 600 yards, it drops this much. And you sort of just know that. And that is a characteristic of your rifle, provided that you use the same ammo over and over again. Like if I were to use a lighter bullet, then those numbers would change. If I use a heavier bullet, those numbers would change. So like you sort of have to keep that. And it's frustrating. It's a lot like golf, where, even if you do everything right, you could still fuck up because you could flinch. You could, you could just have a shaky hand that day, and it really, the margin of error goes up exponentially the further you shoot.
That makes sense.
Yeah.
And
like, I went to a few places, but again, I really didn't have a place to practice longer range shots. So I would show up to a match, and half my shots would miss because I would be like figuring out like where the bullets were supposed to go. Mm-hmm. And then, I would start hitting, and, part of the reason that I saved up so much money to buy this rifle was that one thing I told myself is that if I was going to do this and I was going to miss, I didn't want it to be the rifle's fault. Like I didn't want it to be, I didn't want to be able to blame it on the gun, right? Like it's clearly going to be me if I have a rifle this nice that's going to miss. So I did that for a while. And again, I didn't have all the money in the world. So, I would show up to a match. I would show up with my gun, my magazines, and my bullets, and my little notepad that I scribbled notes on. And then other guys would kind of show up with their rifles and kind of do the same thing. And this was back in like 2008, 2009. And even then, like technology was sort of starting to creep into the sport a little bit. I don't think people had iPads or computers or anything, but occasionally I would see people with like laptops. that would like be typing stuff in and keeping track of stuff. But like for the most part, everybody sort of scribbled stuff down. So my interest in it sort of died off, mostly just due to budgetary concerns. A little bit of the time constraint too. I just couldn't justify what it was costing me in ammunition. And like, there's only so many places you can go shoot a match, and I just didn't want to be on the road every Saturday doing it. So it was one of those things where I was like, you know what, this is fun, but I really don't have a place to do this. I really don't have the money to help me get to the next level of this. So, you know, I packed it up. It went in its case, and I didn't really have a chance to bust it out that much. Like I shot my other guns, but this one, I don't have a place for it, right? So, you know, time went by. And over the past few weeks, a friend of mine kind of casually mentioned that he was getting in the long range shooting. And I was like, oh, that's cool. You know, I used to do that. I still have my rifle. And he's like, well, we should go. And I was like, I would love to, but like, where are we going to go? Because like, I want to be able to shoot out to longer distances. And he goes, hey, I'm a member of a private gun club. It's north of the city. And they have a 100-yard range and they have a 300-yard range. And they have steel targets. So like you can just go out there and practice without having to worry about setting up targets over and over again. And it's small. They only have a couple hundred active members. So like, you know, they do matches, they do other stuff. So he took me up there. And it's a really nice place. They have covered shoot houses. They have like really nice stands to sit on. I wasn't allowed on the 300-yard range because you have to be a member and you have to qualify to be on the range, which is kind of good, right? Because like when you don't want to sail one over the backstop and have that like hit somebody's cow. So like, it's, safety is important. You have to kind of know what you're doing, which I'm not worried about. But what's the funny anecdote to the story is that, I show up at the gun club with my buddy, and he's relatively newer to the sport, and he's about our age. And he does pretty well. He's pretty well off. He shows up with his rifle, which is a really nice, more modern looking rifle. Folding stock, skeleton. Picatinny rails up and down it for mounting attachments, and it's a more like, I don't want to say trendy caliber, but it's a newer caliber that I don't even think it was around when I was shooting, but a lot of people didn't shoot it. It's not necessarily more expensive, but it's a popular type of ammunition, 6.5 Creedmoor, it's called. And he also has a suppressor. Now, the minute he busted out the suppressor, I'm like, uh-oh. Because here's the thing. You can own suppressors. You can do that. That's a thing. There's a process to do it. It's way more stringent to buy that than it is to buy the gun. So the minute he busted this out, I'm like, okay, he's serious. Like, this is something he's really into, because like, if I went to the store, if I went to the gun store right now and I'm like, I want to buy a suppressor, there's an entire process to do that. Just like there is to buy a gun. Like, you have to do a background check and you have to do all that stuff. But like a suppressor, you basically have to fill out a bunch of documentation. And then your form goes to the government, and 8 months later, you get your suppressor. at best, right? There's a very large process. There is a huge tax fee you have to pay in addition to the cost of the suppressor, and they're not cheap. So he had gone through that process, and this was going to be the first time he was going to shoot it. And then he gets out his spotting scope, which I never had a spotting scope, and those are like $1,500. And then he pulls out his Kestrel. So a Kestrel is a fantastic piece of technology. So let me see if I can find what this thing is. Let's see here. I think it's this. Oh my God, stop with these pop-ups. Let's see here. I think it was this one. So he has this device called a Kestrel. And what's interesting about this, and I've always wanted one of these, and they've come a long way, but what they are is they are ballistic meters. So what they are, and this is really interesting, is when you look at this thing, it looks like a little handheld device. And it has a little fan in it. It'll measure wind speed, humidity, temperature, like all the stuff you sort of have to factor for. And the Kestrel itself is programmable. So again, you take your known points of data, things like your muzzle velocity, your bullet weight, your caliber, the twist of your rifling, how far you're going to be shooting, and then all the weather factors. And it can tell you, like, hey, based on everything you told me, if you're shooting at a target 500 yards away, here's your expected like left to right deviation and your bullet drop. And it's pretty close, right? Because what happened was we went out to a different range this past weekend. It's a place out in Coshocton, Ohio, where they have targets all the way out to a mile. That's pretty far.
That's pretty far.
And like the physics and the ballistics involved to hit a target that far is pretty wild. Now, back in my day when I was doing this, I think the furthest I ever hit was 800 yards. But it took me a lot of shots to get there. And the other nice thing about this Kestrel is, like, once you program all that stuff in, it connects Bluetooth to like an iPad, and it'll, like, the iPad display basically shows you wind direction and like what your like ranges are for like the different targets you're trying to hit. It's incredible. Like, I was able to hit a target at 1,000 yards. And this helped me sort of like establish a baseline. So like it told me like, okay, you need to basically aim 20 minutes of angle. That's like a shooter measurement, like on your scope, 20 minutes of angle to the left, and your bullet's going to drop by 40 minutes of angle. So like I adjusted my scope, I dialed in the little turrets, and like I kind of held the rifle because like I was like shooting at the edge of like what my scope was going to let me accomplish. So I took the first shot and I missed. And, you know, my buddy has the spotting scope so he can see the impact of where it hit. And like within the next 2 shots, I was hitting. Like back in the day, that would have taken me 40 shots to get right.
Right.
Because like I wouldn't even know when to start. Like I had like data that would help me get there, but like this ballistic calculators, it's basically like cheat codes. But like it goes on a little stand and it's got like a little weather vane and everything, and you can use it to measure all the stuff. And like the technology is just wild. It's just totally wild. And then the other thing he had, which was nice, is they also make really nice chronographs for measuring your muzzle velocity. Because, you know, when people make bullets, Paul, I don't know if you know this, but like it's really hard to make 2 bullets perform the same way. So like if you buy a box of ammunition, you know, based on your rifle, the barrel length, the twist, and the weight of the bullet, like you should be able to expect a muzzle velocity. Well, you know, like the only way you would really know this is you used to have to use a chronograph. And old chronographs, what they were basically wires you would stick in the ground, and it was like basically radar. And like you sat one to the left of your gun and the right of your gun. And as the bullet sort of traveled past the wires, it would kind of record that and it would give you a rough estimate. These new ones basically just kind of sit near your gun, and they're essentially little radar units. So like the one I just linked in the show notes is very similar to what we were using, to where you kind of set it like a few inches back from your muzzle, and it will tell you like your muzzle velocity. So one thing that we know about us, Paul, is that we're here for the gear. Right? Like I was completely nerding out, not just on like being out there shooting, but seeing some of this newer equipment was like super wild to me. So I've applied to be a member at this new gun club. So it may give me a reason to get out and shoot more. And I'm definitely going to be spending some money on some of this stuff, but the actual joy of hitting that target, like it was a pretty good feeling, because that's like over a half mile away, and being able to like put, you know, just over a half-inch projectile like over a half mile away and hit something it felt pretty good.
Yeah, I could imagine. Yeah, that's cool.
Yeah, it was a lot of fun. So more to come on, you know, we're gonna probably get away from Drew's computer corner for a little while. We'll go to Drew's shooting corner, but I've already got my eyes set on some stuff, but I really can't make any like super big purchases, because I was like looking at what it would cost to build, like to get a new rifle, a new scope. Like, man, stuff has just gotten so expensive, because like it's just hard to find a good quality rifle that isn't less than like $8,000.
Wow, that's pricey.
And like, again, right? Like I could go to the gun store and I could spend $700 on like a Remington, But again, like when you're really demanding precision and you want the best, like it's just like anything else we talk about on the show, right? It's just a really expensive. It's an expensive hobby.
Yeah.
So
cool.
Yeah, I felt pretty good about that. So more to come.
Excellent.
Wow, there's an hour already.
That's a show, right?
That's a show.
Woo! Hey everybody, go to doingtheirbest.com. You can find social media links there, show notes, all the stuff that is good. And hey, thanks for listening.